Hey guys, good morning. I am happy to see you. And today is Wednesday, November 18th, or if you're a B-Day student, it's Thursday, November 19th. And I am just going to walk you through what your lesson is today and hopefully help you out a little bit on a test that you're going to take. So this is the video that you're watching. Agenda. Today you are going to be taking a reading summative. It's called an obstacle. It is very short, but what it helps you do is identify how well you're doing on your close reading skills that we've been working on. And so that's what we're going to take first, and I'm going to walk you through that. And then you're going to have time to read for To Kill a Mockingbird 25 through 31, and that is the end. And 25 through 31 is due Monday and Tuesday after Thanksgiving break. So let's talk about the summative that you're going to take. So attached to this lesson plan is the test document, and this is where you can open it up. It can take up your whole screen, and you can just read the test and focus on that. What I would recommend is that you get out a sheet of scratch paper and you write down the answers that you want, and then you will go to let me turn this on for you. And then you would go to the Google form provided, and you can just key in your answers real quick. But if you'd rather have both open at the same time, you can. Your Chromebook's not going to lock during this test, so you are more than welcome to do that too. So this test is your number one thing to work on today, and I'm going to pull it up and walk you through it a little bit. Okay, let's make it big. Let me see. Boop, boop, doop. Here we go. So what we have been reading in To Kill a Mockingbird is a lot about struggle. And I think that this poem is very relatable to some of the struggles that we see with the characters. So this is an obstacle by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. She wrote it in 1884. And at the top, we just have a little bit of background information about Charlotte. Charlotte Perkins Gilman was a writer and a lecturer for social reform. Gilman was a feminist during a time when it was not socially acceptable to be one. As you read An Obstacle, consider the context of the poem and what it was like to live as a woman in the late 19th century. Annotate for figurative language and personification and how they contribute to the speaker's response to prejudice. There's a little typo here that I'm going to fix before you see it. Here we go. So one thing that you should notice in this background information is that the word prejudice here is capitalized, and that tells us a couple of things. One, that it is a proper noun. It is not a common noun. And two, that this is one of the most important words in this entire background information. So here, if prejudice is capitalized, then it's being treated as a name, almost as if prejudice was personified and it was a person. So we are going to read this short poem. I do recommend that you read along with me because why not? All right. An obstacle. I was climbing up a mountain path with many things to do, important business of my own and other people's too, when I ran against a prejudice that quite cut off the view. My work was such as could not wait. My path quite clearly showed. My strength and time were limited. I carried quite a load. And there that hulking prejudice sat all across the road. So I spoke to him politely, for he was huge and high, and begged that he would move a bit and let me travel by. He smiled, but as for moving, he didn't even try. And then I reasoned quietly with that colossal mule. My time was short, no other path. The mountain winds were cool. I argued like a Solomon. He sat there like a fool. Then I flew into a passion, and I danced and howled and swore. I pelted and belabored him till I was stiff and sore. He got as mad as I did, but he sat there as before. And then I begged him on my knees. I might be kneeling still. If so, I hoped to move that mass of obdurate ill will, as well invite the monument to vacate Bunker Hill. So I sat before him helpless in an ecstasy of woe, The mountain mists were rising fast, the sun was sinking slow, when a sudden inspiration came, as sudden winds do blow. I took my hat, I took my stick, my load I settled fair. I approached that awful incubus with an absent-minded air, and I walked directly through him as if he wasn't there. So note that there are a couple of footnotes here throughout. So whenever you see a footnote, you want to scroll down to this little footnote key, and this will tell you what all those footnotes mean. So now you have 4 questions about the poem to answer. I'm just going to read the question. I'm not going to read your answer choices, but hopefully the way that I am reading the question will help you remember it or put a little more emphasis on the most important part of it is probably the right way to say that. Hopefully it helps you understand it a little bit better. Number 1, how does the setting of the poem contribute to its central theme? Setting, theme. Number 2 is a part A question, which means that 2 and 3 are going to be related. Number 2, which of the following statements best explains the reference to the monument of Bunker Hill in lines 35 to 36? Which of the following statements best explains the reference to the monument of Bunker Hill in lines 35 to 36? Part B depends on what answer you chose for part A, because this is evidence that's going to support the answer that you chose for part A. Part B, which of the following phrases best supports the answer that you chose for A? So you really want to get part A right, because that will help you with part B. Number 4, how does the final stanza contribute to the speaker's developing point of view? A stanza is a tiny paragraph in poetry. So when I look up here, each one of these little paragraphs is a stanza. So this question is asking about this final stanza here. Let's go back down. How does the final stanza contribute to the speaker's developing point of view? How the speaker is viewing this situation. So hopefully that will help you. And then there is an open response. And I'm going to scroll to here for that, because the open response in the document I'm looking at needs to be edited. That will be fixed before you see it. So I'm looking at the open response right here. Summarize how the speaker responds to prejudice over the course of the poem. So you're answering, how does the speaker respond to prejudice throughout the poem, beginning, middle, end? Be sure to include any interpretations or meaning of these reactions. Be as specific as possible. You want a full paragraph, 7 to 10 sentences. So by the time that you get the answer sheet document, that will look exactly the same as the one in this document. So this is your document sheet. This was also assigned to you today. It has another copy of the poem up top, and then down below it has all of your questions. So you are going to answer these questions and write your paragraph here and then hit submit. And the grade will not be released to you immediately, because I will need to read your open response and grade it and get it back to you. So that is the most important part today. It is a very short test, but it will really help me figure out how well do you understand the idea of prejudice, how well are your close reading skills coming along. So that is the goal of that. So let's hop back over to today's lesson. So Unit 2 reading summative and obstacle due today. That's going to take you about 20 minutes. Now, the second thing that you're doing today is it is a reading day. So you're going to read. Ideally, you would read for the amount of time you would have left in class, which is about an hour. And you're going to read 25 through 31, which is due right after Thanksgiving break on Monday for my A-Day kids and on Tuesday for my B-Day kids. So an obstacle is due today, and To Kill a Mockingbird is due the day after break. So just be prepared for that, and that's the end of the book. Be sure to use that reading guide to help you along the way, that study guide for 25 through 31. Email me if you have any questions. I hope you guys are having a good day. And my A-Day kids, I will see you again on Friday. My B-Day kids, this is it. So B-Day kids, have a really good Thanksgiving break. A-Day kids, I will see you during our live Google Meet on Friday. All right, thanks you guys.